You see that city over there? That's where I'm supposed to be. Not down here with the dogs and the garbage and the fucking last month's newspapers blowing back and forth. I've had it with them. I've had it with you. I've had it with all this. I want room service! I want the club sandwich. I want the cold Mexican beer. I want a $10,000 a night hooker! I want my shirts laundered. Like they do at the Imperial Hotel in Tokyo.
Hello everyone, this is Pico Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you, and this is another subscriber movie request who has asked me to cover the 1990s science fiction actioner Johnny Mnemonic. Released in May the 26th, 1995, it stars Keanu Reeves, Dina, Meyer, Ice-T and Dolph Lundgren, and it was directed by Robert Longo. Now the story of Johnny Mnemonic is that we are set up within a dystopian future of 2021 where society is heavily reliant on technology and the virtual internet. As a result of this, the world is coping with a degenerate virus known as NAS, that's Nerve Attenuation Syndrome. This is where the individuals suffer from a mental and physical trauma from overexposure to technology. The world is also dominated by big multi-corporations such as the Farakun, who are concerned with lower class rebels societies who continually defy them and their establishments, so they hire Yakuza assassins to hunt them down. Enter Johnny, who is a Mnemonic courier agent. These are agents who are hired to transport special data by having it implanted in their brains, and on his latest job, Johnny inherits the data from certain scientists, but soon finds that the data is bigger than what his brain can initially handle. Despite this complication, he still decides to have the data implanted into his mind, but soon finds himself hunted down by the Yakuza who was searching for the data. Johnny soon learns that he must extract the data from his mind within a couple of days or it will cost him his life. He eventually comes into contact with the rebel society and learns of the real importance of the data within his head and how much that data is the key to repairing the balance within the current society. Now, initially created as a conceptually driven science fiction art house movie, Johnny Mnemonic was converted into much more of a pacey science fiction actioner, and it definitely shows on screen. The movie has a whole host and multitude of ideas and themes from so many other revered science fiction movies, both before and after its release. When we look at the movie, we have the obvious bleak cyberpunk landscape of Blade Runner, we have the hero with the crucial data being chased from certain villains, being the key to saving society, and all of those elements are Total Recall. We have the upper lower class divide, which is everything from Demolition Man. And then we look at later on with movies post the release of Johnny Mnemonic, with the likes of Minority Report, where we have very much the virtual use of the technology with the hands. We of course have The Matrix later on, again when we deal with that concept of data being hacked into human brains and the consciousness, and also 12 Monkeys, again that bleak science fiction dystopian tale where a certain white saviour is the key to saving the land. Now unfortunately, Johnny Mnemonic shares none of the intelligence and maturity of those previous films in terms of setting about its concepts and its story. It sadly ends up as being just a very low budget, very trashy looking science fiction movie, and it's rather unfortunate for the film itself, which definitely had some potential in the various ideas that it presents. Now a major down point of this film is sadly the central performance of Keanu Reeves. It can all be agreed that generally he's not the world's greatest actor. Of course, throughout the 90s he had risen to far prominence with the likes of the Bill & Ted movies, My Own Private Idaho, Point Break and Speed. But this movie really exposes him very much as he struggles to find any conviction regarding his screen presence or the delivery within his dialogue. This is most apparent in a very cringe-inducing scene where Johnny is standing amongst the rubble, ranting about his current situation, and this is just bad acting here and it really sets a marker for the whole standard of the film itself. Now to be fair, the other supporting actors, Dina, Meyer, Ice-T and Takeshi Kitano all perform far better in their roles. Nothing special in terms of their performances, but they're just far more convincing in the way that they portray their characters. Now, another major casting misfire was the role of Dolph Lundgren as very much of a priest-like bounty hunter. I don't really know what the studio was thinking in casting Dolph in this role. They went for somebody who wanted to have that physical presence, but at the same time wanted to have a bit more nuance to their character, but it just doesn't work. And again, like Keanu Reeves, Dolph Lundgren may not be the world's greatest actor, but I firmly believe in this type of role he's far better than this, and he's got a lot more to his skill set, I would say, than what this role offers him. Now, one could argue that the film itself does have a certain energy and pace about it. If you're just looking for that quick, low demand science fiction actioner, very much of a chase-like narrative, then this will probably suit you down to the ground. But overall, I just think Johnny Mnemonic is that big example of a great setup with a great assortment of concepts and ideas that was very much affected by studio interference, trying to make it into something far more accessible for the mainstream audiences. And this is very much proven with the original creator of the source material had initially wanted to make the film for a $1.5 million budget, but as the film was financed by Sony, they saw the recent success of Speed starring Keanu Reeves in the film, and that's how they wanted to inflate the budget as to much higher to a $30 million tentpole summer movie. But unfortunately, the film itself doesn't look anywhere near that expensive, and there were far superior science fiction movies that cost 1/3 of what Johnny Mnemonic did, and it looked far more impressive on screen. So if I had to give a score for Johnny Mnemonic, I would sadly only give it a 4.8 out of 10. So we then go on to the box office release of the film, and on a budget of 26 million, it managed to only gross around 52.4 million worldwide. So it was a massive flop at the time and a major disappointment for Sony. Now, one of the big reasons that I think that Johnny Mnemonic didn't really succeed is that because yes, at the time, we were very much in the landscape of the Cyberpunk era, especially with the emergence of anime at the time, but it was far more in animation and comic books and graphic novels, not really as opposed to mainstream movies. Now, as I mentioned before, we did have big science fiction films such as the likes of Terminator 2, Total Recall and Demolition Man, but they weren't in the same really gritty, dark, dystopian feel that what we have with Johnny Mnemonic. And of course, those films had in the leads major A-list stars in the likes of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. And despite the fact that Keanu Reeves was very prolific at the time, he hadn't proven himself enough to be able to carry a big event film on his own name. And I just think the grim aesthetic of this film just wasn't as appealing as to mainstream audiences. Now, many would argue that Johnny Mnemonic over the years has gained some sort of cult status, with many people doing a lot of revisionism on the film, stating that it's got far more going for it than what has been appreciated or underappreciated in many senses. But I don't agree with that. Again, I see the film as quite a disappointment given all of the ideas and themes that it has on screen. And yes, you could argue that films post its release have taken certain elements of Johnny Mnemonic. They utilise those ideas far more better than Johnny Mnemonic. And for me, I just look at it as a really low budget, kind of trashy science fiction actioner that definitely had the potential to be far more, but sadly didn't make use of its potential overall. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings and review of Johnny Mnemonic. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you believe the film was to be very much of a cult hit, a film that was underappreciated on its release, then let me know what you think in the comments so we can have further debate. If you have any other movies that you would like to see me review on the channel, let me know within the comments, and if I've indeed seen the films, then I'll provide commentary on those movies as well. Please also hit and like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.